Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Canary Room. I don't know what episode it is, to be honest. It might be episode 13, might be episode 14, don't know, one or the other. Anyway, welcome back. Coming up on the show today, well, it's another catch-up in the room, as it will be for the foreseeable future. We will try and get back to Keith's before the end of the breeding season, just to see how he's done, and then we have got more on the road trips lined up just after the molt. So coming up on the show today, well, we will check in with the Fifes. We'll have a look at the development of some of the first round youngsters, and we'll have a look at the sort of the second and plans really for the final round with the Fifes. Got the Norwich notebook, we'll do those. We've got the native diaries as well. Some interesting news on the native diaries, something to look forward to, hopefully. And we'll catch up with the new colour corner as well. As always, everyone, grab yourself a cuppa. I'm outside this time, so I've got a bottle of water. Sit back and enjoy the show. So, 2 weeks since we were last in the room. Last time out we were looking at a lot of the first round youngsters. They're all in one flight cage now. What I've done, I've taken the decision to not single any of them off yet. And there's a reason behind that. The reason behind it is last year I noticed that a couple of the birds, they just lacked the strength in the wings, and as a consequence on the show bench some of them weren't holding their wings particularly well. Now optimally I'd have them in one of the bigger flight cages, and certainly that might be the plan later in the year. Not sure I'll put them in the flights in the garage, more of that later. But I've put them all in here, and we'll have a look at one or two in a minute, just in a show cage. One or two already catching my eye. Too early really to do a sort of full assessment on them, but one or two I really do like the look of, so hopefully it's going to be a year of quality if not quantity, and really that's the sort of the essence of today's update. The second round has been disappointing. We cleaned out all of the sort of stock cages over the weekend. Wife Claire very kindly washed all of the cages and washed all of the trays, so they're all clean, ready to go. They're starting to fill, but certainly not with the same volume of birds that I'd hoped. And that's in part a couple of reasons. One, some of the second round chicks just lost young. I've seen it this morning. I had 3 chicks in the nest yesterday. I've come in this morning just to find one. And there's a couple of reasons for that. You know, you look at this time of the year with the weather, the way that the weather's been up and down, you're looking for mite. You know, you're looking to see whether there's a concern about mite. There is mite in the room. I've seen mite in the room. I'm managing mite actively, as you know, is always the way, really. You actively manage them. There's not a proliferation, if such a word exists, of them on the sort of in the cages. Normally you'll see, you know, young birds sort of yellowing and sort of jaundiced, as essentially they've had the blood sucked out of them, but that doesn't appear to be the case here. So I think part of the issue has been really that, you know, we've sort of got to a stage where we've got single chicks, and then the hens have just got bored. Weather at the moment is ridiculous. You know, we've had some real great days of sunshine. Today's been a sunshine and showery day. I've been out this morning for a walk before filming the show. Sunshine and showers today, and you know, the birds just don't know whether they're coming or going with that. I take some consolation that it's not just me. I know breeders up and down the country are having some difficult challenges. I don't take any consolation in their unfortunate challenges, I have to say, but you know, it makes me feel a little bit better that it's not just me. But ultimately it will be me. It will be some of the management techniques I've used this year that haven't quite worked. The birds haven't quite produced the goods that I'd hoped them to. So really, plans for final round now. And you'll notice, if we have a look around sort of behind me, that there are a number of empty cages. I made the decision last weekend, so weekend just before the end of May, that a number of the hens were just either, some still hadn't laid, and some had not been fantastic at rearing and just didn't look great. So, you can carry on, or you can make a decision. And my decision with those birds was to say, okay, I'm going to retire now. So they're retired in the flights outside. We'll have a look at them in a minute. They're retired in the flights outside, and what I've decided to do is focus on probably a dozen hens or so that have still got young in the nest, have still got chicks, or have got young that are due to hatch. So there's a few that have still got young. There's a few that I will try and get another round from. As I say, no more than a dozen hens in here. So, it's not going to be spectacular numbers with the Fifes this year, and that's okay. It is okay. It can't be anything other than okay. So I've got to deal with that. But I think, hopefully when viewers watch the show, and I get a lot of this, that the honesty, you seem to respect my honesty, and you'll get nothing but honesty from me. It's not been a great season, and that's the truth. Certainly quality-wise, it's been good. Volume-wise, less so. I'll take quality over volume every day, but it hasn't been as good as I perhaps anticipated. So, you've got two ways of doing this. You can give up, or you can keep going, and I'm certainly not going to give up. I will keep going with the birds that I believe are fit enough to keep going. I'm certainly not going to breed with unfit birds, which is why that sort of selection process now has been whittled down to, as I say, probably a dozen hens or so. But that's it. That's where we are with the Fifes this year. So, as I say, couple. We can see them in the show cage here. Couple, I like the look of. I like how they're shaping up. They could be useful birds on the show bench. Of course, one of the challenges with not breeding the volume this year is that it will impact on the number of birds I can have in the show team, and the number of birds and the number of shows, rather, than I'll be able to get to later in the year. But that's a problem for another day. I've mentioned it, actually. We've got some empty cages here, so let's go and have a look now in bird room number 2 at the birds in their new surroundings. Hopefully you can see in the cage behind me, we've got some of our first round grey wings. There's 5 in here. There's another couple of birds, another 5 I think in the nest in the canary room. So that's 10. And we've got a hen down on eggs, and then the other 2 hens I will take another round from. So we should probably see 16 to 20 grey wings out of 3 pairs, which is phenomenal return of numbers, isn't it? They're in here for a couple of reasons. One, just to molt out, and 2, because I'm colour feeding them. It's red Carafil red, and I really don't want that on the canaries. So on the other canaries, certainly the Fifes. So that's the new colours in here. I've got a little bit more work to do in here still. I've got a project to undertake this evening, I think, which will build another base really for this set of cages here. I'm not sure I'm going to need them this year, to be honest, but I shall build the base, he says confidently. So those are the grey wings. As I say, they're coming on nicely. Can't really tell the sex of them yet. Looks to be a couple of hens in there, I would suggest. Certainly a couple of cocks, maybe 3 cocks, 2 hens. Let's hope it's the other way round, eh? Let's hope. So those are the grey wings in the garage. We'll just pull this round now quickly. I'll have to go out of shot, but we'll have a look at some of the Fifes in the flight. Quite an awkward shot this to get, so you probably just get the side of my head in it. We've got here some of the adult Fife birds. They've already started to drop tail feathers. There's probably 16, 17 of them in here. Decent enough flight. There's a little bit of a pecking order being established. There's a few birds which have... one bird in particular looks like it's damaged its wing a little bit, but it's okay. They'll establish a natural pecking order. So this has proved invaluable. I've only got one of the flights going at the moment. I will get the other one up and running at some stage as well. So yeah, really, looking at the birds in here, they look in decent fettle. It was funny when I first put them in, because obviously they got height to fly, and a few of them struggled with that height, but that will strengthen the wings. And some of these birds, you know, they haven't bred for me this year, but that doesn't matter. They'll still be considered in the retaining plan for next year. I'm not gonna, you know, move them on. Some of them won't. Some of them will go to aviaries, and some of them will go probably as pets. But a couple of the hens, at least, very good quality birds. I'll give them the opportunity for another go. So our challenge at the beginning of the year was to focus on a number of individual pairs and in the canary room, and it was a pair of bullfinches, a couple of pairs of fifes, I think 3 pairs of fifes actually, and a pair of Norwich, pair of red poles, and the Goldie pair. Let's be honest, it's not quite gone to plan, has it? So let's start with the pair of fifes behind me. The cinnamon carrier, we think, cockbird with a buff cinnamon hen. You'll notice that I've opened up the cage now to a full double. So there was a variegated cinnamon buff cock and a blue hen. She's built up, but she's not shown any indication of laying, so I've retired her to the flight. I've moved him actually with another yellow cockbird, hopefully yellow henbird rather, hopefully to get a round out of them later on. So giving them the full flight, they've been a disaster, to be honest. Just not great parentage, which is it's difficult to understand because the hen is from a line of birds which has fed really well for me, so I can't really understand that. The other birds, the other trio, the hen over there, she's just with the cockbird again, hopefully. Her first round was clear. Second round, she reared a couple, but lost interest. One of them was completely feathered up, but just lost interest in it. And her sister reared a couple of Norwich for me and a couple of her own chicks. And so they look like decent birds. The clears, again, with them, got some young away in the first round. As I say, I thought there was a Norwich in there. One of the hens is back down on 4 eggs. Again, she hasn't built up in a nest pan, she's built up in the corner. And the other hen had 3 chicks up until yesterday. She's now got 1, which is hugely, hugely frustrating. Bullies, bit better news on those. So we've got 1 bully chick under canaries, and then in native diaries we've got an update on them. Red poles, complete waste of time. Complete waste of time. And Goldies, update in the native diaries, keep watching for that. And the Norwich, just heartbreak. Stay tuned. What more do you need? Heartbreak. All right, listen, we've talked about them. Let's have a look at the native diaries now. So native diaries wise, well, let's start with our friends the red poles, shall we? So we've got 3 pairs of the poles laying. So there's only 4 pairs of poles. We've got 3 pairs laying. Our pair in focus are continuing to lay but not sit. We've got a hen in the top corner cage there who is sat on eggs. I haven't checked them, but I have checked the eggs down here under the coal bolt and they're full. 5 of them are full, I think. So they're due to hatch any day now, which will be fabulous. So hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, we will get some poles away. Goldies, well, you'll recall last time out I took their eggs away. I have set them under 2 different canaries. One I've only just set in the last few days, so I haven't checked them yet. The other 2 I've set under a 5 hen. I candled them this morning and they are both full, I'm pleased to say. So they are under a 5 hen. Long way to go, but I always say with the British birds, the native birds, you know, the first challenge is getting them to build a nest. The second challenge is getting them to lay eggs. The third challenge is getting the eggs full. The 4th challenge is the chicks hatching. The 5th challenge is bringing the chicks. The 6th challenge is the chicks fledging. and the 7th challenge is the chicks making it through the molt. So there are 7 challenges with those birds. So you know, we've achieved the first, which is good. As I say, we've got it just out of shot. You might be able to hear it actually. We've got a young bullfinch which is being fed by a Fife canary. Now I've helped this bird along, but she's still feeding it. I won't take it away yet until I've seen it pick up on its own. There's a couple of quite nice shaped Fifes in there as well. Our other bullfinch hen, well, tale of lots of different stories with the bullfinches, as it always is. So the hen here in the cage behind me laid 3 eggs. They were all full, but she came off them. The egg-eating hen is still down on pot eggs at the moment. So I will shift her actually, because she's incubated for a significant period of time. So I'll lift her and let her go down and see if I can scoop the eggs again. I have hatched one of her chicks. Now it's only hatched today. It's under a Fife. I am going to hand rear it as much as I can over the course of the next few days to see if we can give it a good start. That's what I did with the chick up there. I have had another nest hatch, but the hens just gave up. And you know, you've got to. You can do so much, and you can only do so much. Now, with the pair here, the pair in focus pair, that's been fingers crossed, please, fingers and toes and in your prayers and everything for me, or for their birds, actually. So they've hatched 2 this time round. There's more eggs in there, but I don't think they're going to hatch for one reason or another. And I started to... I saw them hatch, and I thought, right, well, last time she didn't feed them, so this time I might give her a little helping hand. Now, normally, anytime you go near a bully hen's nest, that's it, she's away, and you never see her again. She actually stayed on the nest and let me top up her young, which I thought was quite interesting. And then this morning I captured this fabulous moment on film. We can see both the cock and the hen feeding the nest, which hopefully is an indication of what is to come. So fingers crossed with the bullies. The final pair of natives in the room, obviously, are the linnets. The linnet hen had balled up a little bit. She looks better now, but she balled up a little bit. She is moving around a little bit more freely now, which is good to see. But no eggs from them, no nester now, actually, because she's not been well. I don't expect her to. The goldies outside are picking up, which is great. So I am going to leave them to it. So really that's it with the Native Diaries. So we have 1 bullfinch on the sticks so far. We've got another 3 in the nest. And as I say, we've got some more natives due to hatch over the next week or so. So stay tuned for the show and we'll give you the highs and lows of them. Onto the onto the Norwich Notebook. I have nothing but admiration for Norwich Canary breeders. Nothing but admiration for them. These birds have, it's fair to say, tested my patience this year. I've got them into condition, I've got them laying, I've got a strong, I think I've got 6 nests set at the moment. I've got 6 birds on eggs, so they're in different parts of the room under different birds. My hope is that we'll get some more Norwich out. We had 5 away. 1 didn't make it early on, and then the other day I came in and I'd lost a second, and I was just gutted by that. It looked a really nice bird. I've still got 1 the same way bred, and then I've got a nest of 3 eggs which I anticipate will be full. It being a story of lots of different heartache with the Norwich feeders letting down, Norwich jumping the nest and not feeding themselves, and just, yeah. So we've got numbers, and that's important, and we'll end up the season, I'm confident, in double figures. It'll be low double figures, but there'll be double figures with the Norwich, which is a start. Got them in one of the flight cage at the moment. There's 3 in there. There's another 2, another 4 or 5 in the nest, which are feathered up. They're not ready to be taken away yet, but they're feathered up. So, and then we've got more due to hatch, as I say. So hopefully that'll be a good story with the Norwich. What is interesting is I'm starting to see flight feathers in the bottom of the Norwich cages, which basically means the season's over with them, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I don't want the season to go on indefinitely. It just becomes tiresome, to be honest. So that's on Norwich Notebook. Coming up next, New Colour Corner. Well, look, as we've seen in the garage, we've got a flush of new colours so far. We've got more in the nest, which is good. So we've got birds out of all of the pairs, which is just what I wanted. One of the things that I would say is that with the new colours, it's about breeding a number of birds for next year, and I've done that. So assuming that I've got cocks and hens, I can probably make 4 pairs up next year, which is what I want for feeding pairs for the Norwich, and to be here in their own right as well, because I do think they're a lovely, lovely bird. So new colour corners, there's 3 birds. I've got a couple of young to take away, and I'll do that in the next couple of days or so. I've got another one with 2 Norwich and 3 new colour in the nest, and then I've got one with 2 Fifes in the nest, actually. So I will let them all go down again and just get another round of them. And if there's any sort of odds and sods of eggs, one of the white Norwich is laying at the moment, I might pop her egg under one of the new colours and see how we get on. So very much, solid but not spectacular with the new colours. And that's really indicative of the season. Solid but not spectacular. But you know what? It's part of bird keeping, isn't it? We've got to be pragmatic. I know a lot of people get really disheartened. And you know what? I do too. I've racked my brains. I've looked sort of long and hard in the mirror. I've questioned my techniques. It's been a challenging year this year for a multiplicity of reasons. It's been a very busy year for me. So I've been, as we've come out of lockdown, I've been away from the house a bit more than certainly I have been for the last 2 years. And things suffer. Bird keepers will tell you that, no one quite looks after our birds as well as we do, so you can give them the instructions and you can give them the food and you can tell them exactly what to do, but they can't see the things necessarily that we can see, and it would be wrong for us to expect them to. So I do get disheartened. I do get frustrated. I do, try and look for rational explanations in irrational situations. But you know what? I just keep plugging on, and if you're looking for a little bit of love and a little bit of advice from your old friend from the Canary Room, you do the same. Just keep plugging on, because it is heartbreaking, but the reward is incredible. As I talk to you on camera now, I see out the corner of my eye a goldfinch hen with a beak full of nesting material. She's ready to go back down. There'll be more heartache with her, I'm sure, before the season's out, but I've got these birds in a place where they want to breed, and that's important. If you've enjoyed the show, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, why not? Come on, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you're able to make a donation to the channel, thank you so much. Everything that you give goes to equipment and to keeping this show on the road. Until next time, everyone, take care.